Using Accudraw. First, let's go ahead and load up Accudraw. So I'm in my drawing workflow, I'm on my home tab, and in the primary group, this tool right here, if I click on the down arrow, this second option is toggle Accudraw. So I'll select that one to turn on my MicroStation Accudraw. And I'm going to go ahead and pan my window a little bit just to get into a blank area over here. So first, just to demonstrate Accudraw, I'm going to come up here and select the Place Line tool because Accudraw needs to be used in conjunction with another tool. So I'm just using the Place Line tool for these examples. So now maybe I want to come out here and draw a line. I'm going to go ahead and just left click to start my line. And depending on which way I drag my cursor, that will be the direction the line gets drawn in. You can kind of see up in the Accudraw box, if I drag it to the left or the right, it's going to be in the X direction, or if I go north or south, it's going to be in the Y direction. So let's just say I want a line 2,000 feet long. So I'll just drag it in the direction I want to go, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Now to create my line, I'll just type in 2,000, hit the tab key to lock that value in. You'll notice now I have my 2,000 locked in. If I want to type in my 0, I can in the Y direction, as long as I'm in that Y field. But if I get close to where it's completely horizontal, you'll notice it kind of snaps into that horizontal location. Right now, all I would have to do is just left click to accept that line and right click to reset, and it drew that line for me. Now let's say I want to draw a vertical line, but I'm going to go from north to south. So I'm just going to left click out here somewhere to start my line, drag it down in the direction I want to go, and even though in my Accudraw box up here it's giving me a negative value, because I'm dragging it in the negative direction, I don't have to put in a negative symbol. I could just type in 1,000 and hit the tab key, and it's going to lock that negative value in there because I drug it in that direction. If I want my X field to be 0, if I drag it out a little bit, you'll notice it's highlighted in my X field. I could just type in 0, hit enter to lock that in, and it drew my line. If I'm finished, I can just right click to reset it. Same thing if I want to draw a diagonal line. I'll just start it here somewhere, and I'll come back in this direction. You notice I have negative values in both the X and Y field. I don't have to do a negative value, but whichever value is highlighted is the one that's going to enter first. So I'm in my X field, so maybe I want it to be 1,500 feet, so I'll type in 1,500, enter to lock that in. It should go to my next field. Maybe I want that to be a negative 400 feet, so I'll just type in 400 since it's in the direction I want to go, and enter to lock that one in, and I've drawn my diagonal line. And if I'm done, I can right click to reset that tool. Another option that Accudraw has is called Smart Lock. So if I wanted to draw a horizontal line across here, but I wanted to stop it at this vertical line, but they're not actually touching, what I can do is I can just left click to start my line, and when I'm dragging it in the direction I want to go, without hitting any other keys, if you watch the Accudraw box, if I hit my enter key, you notice it locks that Y value to 0. So now when I drag my mouse, I can only create that line in the X direction. So now if I want to snap to the end point of this vertical line, I'll just left click to accept it, and it drew that horizontal line and stopped it at the vertical line. If I'm finished, I can just right click to reset the tool, and I'm done. And it works the same way with the vertical direction. If I come out, left click to start my line, drag it in the direction I want to go, hit the enter key without typing any values in to lock out the other direction. Now I can just come up and snap to that horizontal line there, and then right click to reset it. I'm going to come out here and draw one more line. I'm just going to create a diagonal line. I'll just start it here. Maybe I want the line to be 1,000 feet, so I'll just type in 1,000, tab to lock that value in. And now in my Y field, maybe I want it to be 300 feet. So I'll tab to lock that value in as well. Now you'll notice both values are locked and it's waiting on me to do a left click to accept it. But maybe I want to unlock my X field. So to unlock a value, you just type either X or Y, whichever one you want to unlock. I'm going to unlock the X field, so I'm going to hit the letter X on my keyboard. Now you'll notice my X value is no longer locked, so I can just move it to wherever I want. Maybe I'm going to snap it to the end of this other horizontal line. I'll just left click to accept it, right click to reset the tool, and there's my line. So far in Accudraw, we've done everything in the XY mode or the rectangle mode. So to switch to the polar mode, all you have to do is make sure your Accudraw box is active and hit the letter M on your keyboard, and it should switch your mode from rectangular to polar. And you should be able to tell because your X and Y have now changed to distance and angle. So before we get started in the polar mode, I'm just going to come in here and delete some of these items so we'll have a clean screen. And now I'll go back to my place line tool. And I'll click on my Accudraw box to make sure it's active. And now if I come out here and left click to start a line, you'll notice my compass is no longer a square, but it's a circle, which just indicates that I'm in the polar mode. When you're in the polar mode, you do have to pay attention to what field you are in Accudraw, because when I drag my cursor around on the screen, it doesn't automatically change the field. But now if I know what the length of the line is that I want, maybe I want a 1,000 foot line, as long as I'm in my length field, I can type in 1,000, hit tab to lock that value in. Now even though it's showing a bearing in my angle field, if I want that angle to be 45 degrees, all I would have to do is type in 45 and hit tab to lock that value in as well, and then just left click to accept that line, and of course right click to reset my tool. Now if I come out here to draw a line, I'll just left click to start it. You'll notice instead of being in the distance field, I'm starting in the angle field. If that's not what I want, I'll just hit the tab key to tab up to the distance field. Now I could type in my distance if I want to. I'll just use 1,000 feet, hit tab to lock that in. Now this time maybe for my direction I want to use bearings, which is just the same as what we used in the civil Accudraw tools. So I'm just going to type in N for north. Maybe I want to do 30 degrees, 30 minutes. I'm going to go east. If that's what I want, I'll hit tab to lock it in, and then I can just left click to accept it, and then right click to reset my tool. So just make sure when you're in the polar mode, you're paying attention to what field you will be typing your values in. And of course, Accudraw can also be used with other tools. It doesn't just have to be used when you're drawing a line. If you're copying something a certain distance, you can use the copy tool, or you could use one of the other tools like move or array. So I'm still in my drawing workflow. If I come over to the drawing aids ribbon, this first set of tools is called Accudraw, and we've already kind of went through most of these. In this first little group, you have your smart lock options. In this next set of groups, I think you have rotate, view rotation, rotate to element, and rotate about the z-axis. We'll probably come back to a couple of these rotate tools in some later videos. And then of course you have your set origin tool. Here's another place where you can toggle your rectangular and polar modes if you want to. If you want to pause Accudraw, it's this next icon right here. So basically Accudraw is not active anymore. And then of course this last one will just toggle it on and off. And then this little arrow down here in the corner will take you to your Accudraw settings if you need to change anything in there. So this Accudraw group is just another way to get to some of your Accudraw tool options and settings.